Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Feature Spotlight webinar. My name is Josh Lockheed, and today's topic is creating interactive quotes with QuoteValet. Some of you may already work with QuoteValet, in which case I hope that you can find some new tips and tricks that you can implement into your environment. And those of you that have not yet used QuoteValet, this is an option for you within QuoteWerks. And if you have any interest in demoing QuoteValet, you can reach out to the sales team, and they'd be happy to get you some trial access. So with that being said, we're going to start off with a little housekeeping today. I do have the GoToWebinar questions box available to me and to you during this webinar. So if at any point you do have any questions, go ahead and type them on in there. I'll do my best to get to them throughout the course of the webinar, but I will certainly circle back at the end of the webinar. And if there are any remaining questions, I'll address them then. That being said, we do also have a community at QuoteWerks.com, which is a mailbox that I monitor along with a couple others, where you can send questions if you think of them and they're not answered during today's webinar, or if you leave the webinar and have some additional questions there as well. Additionally, if you or anyone else wants to go back and review this content after the fact, you will be able to. I'll be sending out a recording of the webinar tomorrow, and that will be available for you to go ahead and review after the case. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about QuoteValet, introduce what it is and how it works. We'll then go into QuoteValet dashboard. We'll go over QuoteValet Insight. We'll go over the QuoteValet shopping cart, and we'll go into a quick demo to show you how all of those things work together. And if we have time, we might sprinkle in a couple other Easter eggs in there as well. So what is QuoteValet? QuoteValet is the QuoteWerks online interactive quote delivery vehicle. It provides a dynamic electronic document, and what that means is that the customer, instead of traditional quote delivery and receiving, let's say, a PDF, will actually receive an email with a link to a web-based document. And that web-based document gives them the ability to change quantities if you give them that option, select options, electronically sign, and even collect payments. So it's really an end-to-end quote-to-cash type solution. Gives you that ability to collect payments from your customers and, again, have that interactivity as well. Now, the great thing about QuoteValet is not only are you able to have that interactivity as a one-way thing with your customer, but the customer is also able to ask questions, upload documents, and you're able to receive email notifications and dashboard notifications anytime that happens. So it's a really transparent platform, one that you're really able to interact with your customers in a new and insightful way. Now, what is QuoteValet Insight? QuoteValet Insight is a reporting engine for QuoteValet. You can compare sales reps, track interactions on the web. This is also where you would view approvals, requests, and peer reviews as well. And there's two dashboards in there that I'll show you when we get into the demo that I think are pretty useful, which are the executive and my summary dashboards. So that's a high-level overview of QuoteValet and QuoteValet Insight, and we're going to get into a little bit more depth on each of those as well, along with the other topics we'll be covering in just a moment. So who is QuoteValet for? Well, it's really for any company of any size that wants to have the ability to track customer interactions, provide customers the ability to interact with and electronically pay and accept for quotes and orders, and then also run reports on sales reps activity and customer activity. So this is really a platform that is for anyone. It's really more about what it can do for that business, and that's the true value that we can achieve. So when we're talking about QuoteValet, there's a number of different pillars. The first one that we have here is notification. So as I've mentioned, within QuoteValet, as a customer interacts with a document, accepts a document, pays for a document, you're going to receive an email. You're also going to receive notifications that pop up on a dashboard. So like I mentioned, first view notifications when they first view the quote, if they add any comments to the quote, when they accept it, when they pay. And then there's also the ability to set up reminders as well, not just for your customers, but for your sales reps as well, to show them when a quote hasn't been viewed within a certain period of time, when a quote's about to expire in a period of time. And we're going to actually show you how to set those up here in just a few minutes. Now, another key component of QuoteValet is this approval and workflow component, which is where you can actually electronically view documents even outside the office via a web link. The approval workflow that we have, both for peer reviews and approvals, goes through a web interface, just like QuoteValet. And the peer review setting for sales reps helps for sales reps to collaborate and make sure that information is not being missed on documents. You can add up to 7 different payment options to your documents. You can require deposits, partial payments, and those options can be credit card, ACH, e-check, wire transfer, check, and a number of others. So in addition to having these different payment options, we also integrate with over 80 different payment gateways. So if you don't have one that you already work with, we likely have one that you would be willing to work with. Another thing that we have within QuoteValet that is actually really innovative is this idea of a shopping cart. This is an online order form for customers. Think of this as a either customer specific or customer agnostic QuoteValet link that you share with an individual. They can go in, review the products that are on that document, and if you want, they can change the quantities. They can also select optional items. They can search for items within that particular interface, and you can share that link with other companies or post on your website for easy reordering. And shopping carts are, again, a great option for those routine reorders that customers may have. And then dynamic documents. Another great thing about QuoteValet is even beyond the fact that you can create options and mutually exclusive options, apply various quantities, assign videos, ask questions, file sharing, you actually have full control of what the QuoteValet web page looks like, and that's all based on HTML. And if you want, you can go in there and customize it using our HTML editor, which is within QuoteValet as well. Our team on the support side are also very well versed. So if you are working in QuoteValet or want to work in QuoteValet, and you want something to look a particular way, we can certainly help you to get there, or even if you'd like for us to do it for you, we can engage in some professional services as well. So again, very broad overview of QuoteValet, and we'll talk more and dive into some of these things in just a minute. Now, in addition to QuoteValet Insights, there's also the QuoteValet dashboard, and the QuoteValet dashboard is where you can view QuoteValet activity across all quotes. This is going to include open quotes. You can also import QuoteValet order forms. So if someone goes out there and actually executes on a shopping cart, you can go in there and see that they have and pull that into the system. You can also recall quotes as well, which is a great option if you've sent out a quote for pricing changes or other reasons why you might need to call it back. We've already talked about QuoteValet Insight. Again, this is a reporting engine. We've got different dashboards. You can drill down into individual quotes and orders. And this is also where you can review your peer reviews and approvals. And there's options that you have within the QuoteWerks system to set granular user access settings as well. So there's the ability to provide different users different views of this QuoteValet Insight page, depending on who they are and what you want them to see. Now, as I've talked about here, we've got the QuoteValet shopping carts, and these are online order forms, and these can be customer specific or they can be customer agnostic. And as I alluded to earlier, these are great for routine reorders, special offers, and website shopping carts as well. So I thought before we get into a demo, it would be beneficial for us to just review in general what the QuoteWerks quoting workflow looks like, kind of that QTC quote to cash journey that we go on when we're working with QuoteWerks. It starts with selecting a contact, then going in, adding products and services and sourcing them from different vendors and distributors. You're then going to deliver that quote or proposal or QuoteValet quote. In this case, we'll be talking about delivering a QuoteValet quote. Customer is going to accept that quote and make payment. Then you're going to convert that quote to an order, which if you're using QuoteValet, that's an automatic process once the customer is accepted. And then we're going to check the vendor source, so making sure that all the stock's in place, all the pricing's in place, and give you the opportunity to negotiate on pricing with vendors. And then we place that online order. There's a number of different ways that you can do that within QuoteWerks, whether you're creating a manual PO or actually going on and placing that online order. And then we're going to go ahead and export it over to your accounting system. So we're going to create a PO in QuickBooks or Sage 50, and then be able to track that order to delivery or fulfillment. And what we're going to be talking about today is really the first 5 boxes here. So that idea of selecting a contact, pulling in products and services, delivering that with QuoteValet, showing how the customer can make selections and options within QuoteValet, make payments, and then the process of converting that quote to an order with QuoteValet. All right, so that is the QuoteWerks workflow, and now we're going to get into a quick live demo. I am going to hop over and just double check, see if we've had any questions come in, which I don't see any. So in that case, let me hop over into QuoteWerks here. And let me make sure that I'm sharing the right screen with you as well. All right, so here we are in QuoteWerks. This is QuoteWerks Desktop. We also have QuoteWerks Web. If any of you have any interest in seeing what we're doing in QuoteWerks Web, let me know. If we have time at the end, I'm happy to do it. The processes on both platforms are really very similar. So just know that all the things that we can do here, to a large extent, we're able to do in the web as well. So here we are in QuoteWerks. We've got a document. That document itself has been built out to some form, but there's some additional work that needs to be done before we can deliver it to the customer. Just note that on this document, we've got the actual products don't really matter, but we've got a switch, we've got a access point, we've got some warranty options for that switch, a 1-year extended warranty and a 2-year extended warranty. And then we've got some cabling as well, which are included here as optional items. So the first thing that we'd want to do when we're creating a quote, even before we have these products populated really, but I wanted to go through the process of doing it with you here, is to add a sold to ship to contact. And we can do that by clicking on the sold to ship to tab and clicking on this magnifying glass right here. What we are going to do is we're going to search for a contact, hit enter, and we're going to add our sold to contact in here. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because this sold to shop contact is the one that is going to receive any of the QuoteValet emails. And the most important thing here when you're dealing with an individual with using QuoteValet is going to be that they have a valid email here, because that's the way that we're going to send that QuoteValet quote, and it's going to be what's used when you're communicating with them. So super important, and just wanted to point out the fact that you want to certainly make sure that you have a sold to contact if you're using QuoteValet. Now, there may be instances when you're using, let's say, a QuoteValet shopping cart that you might want to use or keep that blank, but that's a separate use case, and we'll talk about that a little bit down the line. So we've got our contact on our quote, and we've populated with some products. Just also want to point out here that I've done something here that is actually very beneficial when you're using QuoteValet, and especially when you give users the ability to change quantities on an item. In this case, I've made it so that when the user changes the quantity of the first item, the switch, the quantity of the second item, the access point updates as a one-to-one relationship. And what we're doing there is we're setting dependent quantities. And the way that I did that is I just selected the first, selected the second, and then came up to this little button here on the toolbar and hit set dependent quantity. So again, a really useful option if you want to make sure that when a customer changes the quantity of one item, that the quantity of another item changes as well. And I'll mention that you can have it so that multiple products are set as dependent quantities as well. So if the customer changes the quantity of one item, multiple items can have their quantities changed as well. So here we are, and there's a couple things that we want to do before we actually deliver this to the customer. What I want to do is I want to make it so that the customer can actually change the quantity of that first item, the Cisco Catalyst switch, and so that when they do change that quantity, that the access point is going to reflect that quantity as well. And the way that we change it to be, I should say, to give the customer the ability to change those quantities is we're going to right-click on the line, and we're going to go to Edit Line Attributes. And this is the Edit Line Attributes window. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this to allow QVQTY change and make that yes. So what that means is that when the customer goes into QuoteValet and they look at the quote that they're reviewing, they will have the option to change the quantity of that particular item. And again, based on our dependent quantity, if they change the quantity of the switch, the quantity of the access point will change at a one-to-one relationship. Now, in addition to giving the customer the ability to change quantities on that item, you also have the ability to give them optional items. So in this case, let's say that we want for them to choose between one of the two extended warranty options. We'll follow the same process that we did before by right-clicking and then going to Edit Line Attributes, except this time we're going to set is optional to yes. We're going to make sure that it's selected. And what we want to do is we want to make this as part of an exclusive group. And what that's going to do is follow the logic that we want, which is to allow them to select one and only one of the two options that are available. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And there's another way that we could use options, and that's to make it so that a customer doesn't necessarily have to choose one of the options, but all of them will be optional. And this is going to be the same process here, Edit Line Attributes, except you're not going to create an exclusive group. So we're going to hit yes, OK. And now everything is ready to go, and it's been set up to be interactive with QuoteValet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to deliver this to a customer. And the way that we deliver a quote to a customer is we go up to the deliver icon here at the top of the bar. And we are now going to go and choose how we want this to be displayed to the customer. So this is going to be the PDF document that is actually included with the QuoteValet document itself. So we can choose our quote minimal layout. We could choose additional literature, let's say about our company or support agreement if we would like. All that would be based on what you want to deliver to the customer. And again, those are going to be not just included as a PDF in an email if you were to send it as a PDF to the customer, but it's also going to be included as a link in the QuoteValet page as well. So now that we have everything set up here, we're going to go ahead and hit upload to QuoteValet. This is going to start the process of uploading it to the QuoteValet server, and it's going to prompt us here to just save the document before we do that. And I actually have approval rights set so that this administrator has to get approval if the document's over $1,000. But in this case, I also have master rights, so I can overwrite it. So I'm going to go ahead and overwrite that. And here we are in the QuoteValet window. We can set our signing options. So we can give it so the customer has the ability to either sign sequentially or simultaneously. And at this case, the primary signer is going to be Ryan Dan, again, that sold to contact that we had there. But you could add additional signers or even counter signers from your organization as well, if you'd like. In addition, this is where those reminder options come into play that we talked about. So this is where you could set individually for this document to send out a reminder to the recipient if it's not been viewed, is expiring, or not paid after a certain number of days. And you can choose to send it to your sales rep as well, or only to them as well if you'd like, with the same thresholds that you can change here. So once we're all set, we're going to hit upload. This is going to upload this quote to QuoteValet. And then we can preview this on QuoteValet. Now this is what the QuoteValet page looks like. And you can see that our customer has the ability to change the quantity of the switch. And when they change the quantity of the switch, the quantity of the access point changes as well. And then we also have our extended warranty options where a customer has to select one, but only one. And then our optional items where they can select them or deselect them as well. So that is the QuoteValet webpage. If we go back into QuoteValet, we can see that we also have our QuoteValet dashboard up here as well. And this is where you would go to see information about quotes that are expiring, how many outstanding quotes orders you may have, as well as recent documents. You can go into your opportunities tab, which is going to give you the ability to drill down based on sales rep and find individual opportunities orders. And then we've got the QuoteValet tab here. We've got the inbox, which is going to have all of the different QuoteValet activities that you have. We also have reporting, and then you can even track payments that are being made via QuoteValet as well. Just double checking to see if we have any questions that have come in yet. I don't see any. Right. Now, I did want to also just show you where you would set up the settings for QuoteValet, and that'd be by going to Tools, then Options, and then clicking on the QuoteValet tab. And this is where you can go to QuoteValet Setup. Now here within QuoteValet Setup, you can set your logo. You can change the CNAME or the URL of the QuoteValet webpage if you'd like. You can upload different videos and include a YouTube integration if you'd like as well. Here is where you'd actually update the templates if you wanted to change the way that the QuoteValet page looks. And then we've got the ability to set up payment processing for QuoteValet, the notifications, auto reminder options will be the default on quotes, as well as resource security, so who can actually access the QuoteValet pages, and then email settings, so if you wanted to set up DKIM as well. All right, so that being said, I know this was a quick webinar, but I just wanted to give everyone a very high-level overview of QuoteWerks, QuoteValet, and how it works. That being said, there's a ton of different resources that you have available to you. There's a number of different help files, videos. We've got our forum. We also have a regular webinar cadence that we have, including this webinar and a number of others. And that being said, I also want to just point out the fact that our team is always ready and willing to engage. Sorry about that with the presentation. So feel free to reach out to support or sales at any time, and they'd be happy to assist. So with all that being said, my apologies here with the last minute AV issues, but appreciate everyone's time. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to send them to community@quoteworks.com. Thanks, and have a great day.